That's right, Becky. It's time for our masterclass. And it's something I've been looking forward to, obviously.
Me too. I have my pen and paper ready because we need to have this conversation.
Yes, we do.
Because we are growing every day. We're not aging, we're just growing older. And it's important that we have this conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, do you want to introduce our guest?
I could, but I thought, you wanted to ask her what her pink was.
Okay, so I'll start with that. So we have a guest in studio.
Yes.
Today, our conversation is on menopause and menopause awareness.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have Vera is it Nyaboke? Nyakoboke. Yeah, Vera Nyakoboke in studio. And she's going to take us through this conversation. She's a menopause advocate and founder of the Over Circle. She's going to tell us what the Over Circle is.
Yes.
And of course, talk about perimenopause and menopause.
Yes.
And it's so good to have you in studio today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here, and thanks for thinking of me when you thought about the conversation around menopause and perimenopause.
Yes.
That really got me.
Yeah.
Very happy to have you.
That's nice. So we always start with this question: what's your pink? What's that one bright thing that has happened to you today in the course of the week that you'd like to share?
Actually, funny thing is, my pink has just happened while I'm seated.
Right here.
We were having our banter back and forth before we went on air. Yeah. It's this conversation we just had about cuddle buddies. And people charging for that. So my pink is really people thinking outside of the box to reinvent themselves. And not just following the straight and narrow paths. Because we were just having this conversation about people charging for cuddle services, cuddle buddies. You want to go on a date, a movie. I was like, wow, people are really thinking outside the box.
They are.
And also, it's all about reinvention and thinking outside, of the box that society puts us in, and and that's also one. And then we also talked about women and how women are also reinventing themselves. So I think my pink today is around the theme of reinvention.
That's really beautiful.
That's nice. Very.
And just look at mental health. Like all this is trying to address all those issues. Mental health, emotional awareness. Like people are more emotional aware. And it's such a beautiful thing. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really bright.
And it's good that you don't have to be lonely. You don't have to be lonely
because you could look at it in a shameful way, like people are lonely. How can somebody pay for such a service? But you know what? We're gonna flip the perception and the perspective and see that's actually something great.
It is. And you did say that if actually you were to venture into that, you would be offering the service.
It's great. I think it's great.
30 minutes hug. That's beautiful. So we'll just get right into it. So for listeners who are listening to these terms, who are hearing these terms for the very first time, perimenopause and menopause. I think menopause is always out there, but perimenopause is a terminology that wasn't so familiar probably with our parents, so to speak. But now it is becoming more popular in our age, the millennial stage. And that's what we'd like to hear from you. So what is the difference between perimenopause and menopause? Let's start from there.
You're absolutely right. Even I did not know about perimenopause until I was really in it, right? Okay. So it's not really a word that you hear on mainstream. So let me just define them just so that we can both understand the difference.
Okay.
So most of us are familiar with menopause, but then also I'm going to define that because you might be surprised at the definition of menopause. Right. So let me start with menopause and then I'll get into perimenopause. So menopause, believe it or not, is one single day.
No way.
Yeah, it's one single day, right? So menopause is the day that marks 12 months without a period. So it's just one day. So when you go 12 months without a period, the 366th day is menopause.
That's menopause.
Yeah, that's menopause. That marks 12 months without a period. Okay. So that's menopause is just one single day.
Okay.
So the period leading up to that day is what's known as perimenopause. Yeah, when the hormone shifts and the hormonal changes start taking place in a woman's body, that period is called perimenopause, and it can last anywhere up between 8 to 10 years, believe it or not. So that's perimenopause. It's the period leading up to menopause. Remember, I've told you menopause is one day, right? And then once you hit that one day, menopause, after that, you're post-menopausal. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Right? Yeah.
You're schooling us.
Oh, this is another bright part of my day. Yeah, we went to school every day. Every day is a school day. Every day is a school day here on Earth. Yeah. So
That's really beautiful.
Right.
And what ages are we talking about?
All right. So so now I'm gonna use terms like the menopausal transition, also to interchange that with perimenopause, because the transition are those years that lead up to menopause, right? So it can start anywhere between your late 30s up towards your 50s, right?
Okay.
So of course, every woman will experience menopause. Remember that single day. It's not 50 and then all your period stops, right?
Yeah.
So the period leading up to that can range between 8 to 10 years. So we talk about late 30s or 40s up to your 50s. Yeah.
Right.
So the average age of menopause, although the data is very minimal, so in Kenya it's around, let's say 48, 51.
Okay.
But that's one of the reasons the Over Circle exists, because we need to have more conversation around this so that we can have more research and more data. So from my last Google research, they say the average age of menopause for African women is around 48 to 50 years old, which is slightly earlier than our counterparts in the West. Yeah. So
Yeah. And it's good that,
So I'll speak about my personal experience, right?
Yeah. So yes, in fact, I wanted to ask what was the inspiration behind forming the Over Circle.
Okay, so let's go. Let me take you through why Over Circle exists today and how it all started. So, around the time I was in my late 30s, I started, experiencing random symptoms. First of all, insomnia. I did not really get hot flashes. I had insomnia. I had tinnitus. Have you guys heard about tinnitus?
No.
It's ringing in your ears. So it can be very debilitating for the person who's actually experiencing it. Because you really can't sleep well as well. So then there was like mood changes that I could not understand. Then weight gain, and I didn't change my diet or my exercise routine. And those people who know me know that I am an avid exerciser. So I did not change any of that. And then fatigue, inexplicable fatigue. So I went to several doctors, and what would happen? The doctors would just treat the symptoms. They'd give you something for the insomnia. They'd suggest like a birth control pill for your mood swings, especially it would get really, really intense before my period. And one thing, my period started changing. I was always on a 28-day cycle to the T. So my cycle started looking like 30 days, 32 days, 22 days. And I was like, I attributed it to stress, because the first thing when you go on Google, it just tells you, okay, you must be stressed, or, that's the reason your period is all of a sudden irregular. So I was seeing all these doctors, and each doctor would treat the individual symptom. Even I had joint pain. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like 39, and I was around 39, 38, right? And so each doctor would treat the individual symptom. So you'd go to several doctors, each trying to manage a symptom, each prescribing something for a symptom here and there. And nobody, not even myself, thought that, hey, her periods are irregular. The mood swings are becoming a bit erratic, more than normal. And no one, even myself, stopped and said, hey, you're in your 40s, your periods are irregular. Let's step back and look at the bigger picture. You could be in perimenopause. So it's through my own research that I came to realize this actually might...
yourself.
I diagnosed myself. This actually might be perimenopause, right? And one thing led to another, and I said, I can't be the only woman going through this.
Absolutely.
So I said, you know what? Like we all do, I went on social media and I said, hey, if anybody else is going through this, join this WhatsApp community. Let's talk about it. Let's exchange stories. Let's just try figure it out. And that's how the Over Circle was born. And Ellen, Becky, let me tell you one thing. I could not believe the overwhelming response I got. Within less than a month, let's say 3 weeks to 4 weeks, the WhatsApp community, which has a cap limit of 2,000 people, was full. That's how many women were out there who needed just to figure out what the beep was going on. Can I say any word on this? This is
really.
PG rated for the beep. What was going on? So that goes to show just how much this information was needed. So that's how the Over Circle was born, and then from there, we are just building the platform and a community. We have our online space still on WhatsApp, and also building a platform where this information can be accessible to all women, anywhere in the world, literally anywhere in Africa. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Probably will lead to research, because I think research would be very important to get the stats and just know, you know, the numbers as a country. And you don't look more than, like, you know, you're talking about, I was 39, then I'm thinking, okay, really, how old are you?
It's true. I thought the same. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
It's very young. Like,
Right now, from
39.
what I know, I would say I'm in my late perimenopausal journey. I'm 48 this year.
No way.
If they say the median age, the average age of menopause is like 50s, then I just can't wait. I'm on my way to hit that menopausal mark. Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
What do we use tips after this?
We can talk about.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk about how management, you know, symptom management and everything.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So you've mentioned the group and community that you've created for women like you and ourselves, probably, and highly people who consume social media. But there are listeners who do not, and maybe do not have access to that information. So maybe you can tell them the earlier signs of perimenopause that women often mistake for stress or just quote unquote getting older.
You know, menopause is very interesting because it intersects a lot with so many things that are happening in life. And all these factors can actually contribute to your symptoms, right? So just repeat what you just said. Something about stress.
Yes, I would like. No, I said that maybe you can give us early signs of perimenopause that women often mistake for just getting old or just stress.
Okay, right. Like one I mentioned earlier, your period starts becoming irregular.
Okay.
Right? So I attributed that initially to stress. Oh, maybe I'm overworking, overwhelmed and stuff like that. So it could be perimenopause, but then you just think you're probably stressed. Even weight gain can be confused for just stress, or I'm just burnt out. And it's so easy for us women to is it gaslight ourselves and dismiss ourselves? Because we grow up in a society which just tells us to power through, to just vumilia and it's just that's just being a woman. But why does being a woman have to just be difficult? Where is, you see, being a woman, just vumilia, just power through, right? So there's weight gain, there's your irregular period, like insomnia. All these things can be attributed to stress, right? Fatigue. You could just feel like, oh, maybe I'm just burnt out at work. Maybe I need a couple of days off, right? So that's why I'm saying the symptoms that you could experience in your menopausal transition can look like stress. It can look like burnout. It can look like maybe life is too much, and all these things actually are interconnected, right? I was reading an article the other day which had it was a very interesting diagram. It showed your menopausal symptoms and all the factors that can actually influence how a woman experiences their symptoms. So you have factors like stress being one of them. So if you're really stressed, it could actually make your menopausal symptoms more severe, right? Women who've experienced a lot of trauma, and the trauma doesn't have to be the trauma that you're experiencing now. It could be trauma in your past. It could actually impact you later as you're approaching midlife, right? Also your literacy levels, right? Think about it, like education and literacy is really important, because when you're aware and when you know what to expect, it actually, in a way, it doesn't make the journey easier, but it does make the journey easier.
Sure. I get what you mean.
Yeah, it's like when we were prepared for puberty, for menstruation, for pregnancy. It doesn't say that, okay, just by knowing that this is going to happen, it will make it easier, but it does mentally make you prep yourself for the journey to come ahead. So there's so many factors that actually really, and also your genes, as well, where your race, basically, Asian, African, etc. It's said that African women have like more vasomotor symptoms, meaning hot flashes, as opposed to, I believe it's Caucasian women, if I'm not wrong. Don't quote me, but I read, there's so much I've been reading up on this, right? So many factors actually affect how mild moderate or severe your menopausal symptoms can be.
Yeah.
I know we've not really gone into what
like the symptoms. I think I don't want to know the symptoms.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna
mention which one surprise women the most.
Which one surprise women the most? I'm going to mention a few. Yeah, there's a wide range of symptoms. And remember, I need to mention and make it very clear that every woman will experience perimenopause or menopause or the menopausal transition differently. Okay. Yeah, it's not a one size fits all, right?
Okay.
So let me talk about psychological symptoms. Imagine, believe it or not, you can have depressive symptoms, anxiety, and I'd say, I'm not to say that those are not severe, but I'd say on the higher end of the spectrum, you would have even suicidal ideation. Yeah, that's how serious it can be. But who told us that? Who told any of us that? Yeah. Then you can have insomnia. Yeah. Imagine you're a woman I'd say most of the women in the transition are in the peak of their careers. So insomnia, and then you need to show up at work.
Yes, you do.
And be productive and perform, right? So there's insomnia. And this, we have to talk about support as well. Especially in the workplace. So you can have insomnia, fatigue. And then you have other symptoms like weight gain. Inexplicable weight gain. Have you heard about or seen like some all of a sudden like there's this hormonal belly that and it's what they call hormonal belly. Weight gain. You've not changed your exercise or diet routine. You have joint pain. Dry mouth.
Dry mouth?
Yes, dry mouth is a symptom. In fact, that was one of my symptoms.
Really?
Yes, you have like a really dry mouth, and it's I don't even know. It might sound just a dry mouth, drink water. No, it's not that simple. Dry mouth. Then you find all of a sudden you're getting acne. In you're like, what? This is like, am I in puberty? Acne. I'd say there's a myriad of symptoms. Like, I'm just trying to get them off. Like mood swings, like hot flashes, night sweats, irritability, girl. Yes, irritability is a big one. There's something I've seen discussed online. They call it menopausal rage. But a lot of these symptoms, it's attributed to how much our hormones are fluctuating during this period. When I talk about hormone fluctuations, let me just put something into perspective. Absolutely. Like for all the listeners, right? In your reproductive years, your hormones can kind of take like an expected way. You expect something like once your period comes, you're starting to feel good, and then during ovulation, and then when your period is about to come, you have the PMS and stuff like that. So, the hormonal changes are not as erratic as during the perimenopause transition. So now in perimenopause, you have very erratic, chaotic, if I must use that word, hormonal changes. So in the morning, your hormones could be like this, and in the evening, it changes. And you see, and you can understand how that impacts how you feel and how you also experience the world. So each day, the hormonal profile looks very different and very chaotic, and that's because that's characteristic of the menopausal transition, perimenopause.
Do you feel like more women are aware now of that?
I feel like the conversation is starting to happen. Like when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I never heard. I expected menopause just to be like hot flashes, and your period, and I thought menopause was like, okay, your period will stop, no big deal. Nothing. There's nothing. It will just I wake up and it stops. I didn't expect any symptoms.
Nobody told us that it would come with all these hormonal changes.
Exactly. Nobody talked about what it would look like to manage or what is recommended during the menopausal transition. So I feel like the conversation is starting to happen, but more awareness really needs to be done. More awareness needs to be done. Also to remove the stigma and shame around the conversation on menopause. Remember, before we went on air, I was telling y'all, like, we prepare women and girls for menstruation, for puberty, for pregnancy, even for marriage.
Yes, we're all prepared for that.
But when you talk about menopause, it's like
You're on your own.
You're on your own. You figure it out on your own, or you power through. And I really don't think that is fair and just for women who really make up society and hold society up in a very impactful way for us just to be neglected in midlife.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'd like you to repeat something that you started with about menopause being a day. Like it's just something that happens once, because people would ask, like, can a woman still have regular periods when they're in perimenopause, or it's menopause but you still have regular periods? I mean, there's all that confusion with that. So kindly talk about it again.
Yes, you can still have regular periods and you're in perimenopause. So I don't know if diagnosis is the right word, because when you say diagnosis, it's like there's an illness. And menopause, I want to be clear, it's not an illness, right?
It's not, yeah.
Right. So what I want to say is, I'm connecting the dots, right? Like, yes, you can still have regular periods. However, to diagnose menopause is very symptomatic. Like, let me tell you, one of the things I've heard a lot of women say is, I'm just not feeling like myself. And that could be menopausal related. Just not feeling like yourself. And I want women to trust themselves and to trust how you feel. Like, you're just not feeling like yourself. So yes, you could still have regular periods, but you're not sleeping. And then you keep waking up in the middle of the night. Yeah. You keep having recurrent UTIs. That's also a symptom in menopause. Or loss of libido, like vaginal dryness, a very key symptom of perimenopause. Like, if you start feeling like all these things, like your mood swings are just like out of this world, right? Because all these things affect your relationship with yourself, your relationship with the community around you. And the community around you, not only being like your partner or your spouse, also your children and the people in your workplace. And also your workplace and how you show up at work. So you could have regular periods and be perimenopausal. Yeah. So the diagnosis for perimenopause is very symptomatic. Also, let me point out that there's no blood test to determine that you're perimenopausal. Yeah, there's and that's why awareness is very important, because there's such a big gap between information and the knowledge out there, and then you have service providers who want to take advantage of that knowledge gap. So you'll find people testing for perimenopause, but there is no. It's very symptomatic. And a lot of times, if you're in midlife, in your 40s, and then you have all these changes like hormonal acne, your period is irregular, like insomnia, I would urge women who can to actually go see a healthcare professional and be able to get the correct diagnosis. That's if you're not sure. So talk to somebody who's a specialist in the field instead of getting reeled in by people who are taking advantage. So there is no test for perimenopause. It's very symptomatic based.
All right.
You're learning so much.
Thank you. There's something there you mentioned about the workplace, and I want us to get there, because obviously if it's women in their 40s and 50s who are experiencing these things, it means they work somewhere. They are like us in this room. So while I think perimenopause is often misunderstood, I would say, and even ignored, I feel it's very maybe wrong, because you still expect me to show up fully while I had insomnia all night, while I have brain fog, while I'm having all these things. I mean, could you please talk to our employers?
Okay, right. So in as much as menopause is a healthcare issue, it's also a workplace issue. And that's part of the work we do at the Over Circle. So and that's the importance around the awareness part of it. I know I talked about menopause awareness, menopause education, but it's really, really important, especially in the workplace, right? Because I agree with what you're saying, Ellen.
Yes.
Yeah. You've probably not slept, insomnia, brain fog.
Yes.
But first of all,
I'm irritable.
As an individual, do you know what's going on with you? So that's where the awareness and education starts. And so the other part of this work that we do is speaking to people in HR, right? I know you're like, I know.
Make it just laugh.
I know it feels. I know
more tolerant.
Yeah. To be more tolerant, but there are organizations that have accommodated certain policies in the HR framework around menopause. I believe there's one or two in Kenya. Let me not name them, but yes, there's one or two. So some women can actually get a few days leave called menopause leave. So, but aside from that, that's really not the angle that we're focusing on, although it is part of our focus. But the focus starts around knowledge and awareness, right? Even to the decision makers within the workplace, because with that kind of knowledge and awareness, then there can be empathy, and people will be like, so my boss is just not. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then there could be little accommodations that can be implemented, like. I've not heard about this in Kenya, but if breastfeeding rooms are a thing nowadays,
they are.
Then in other parts of the world, they have cooling rooms for women who have extremely hot flashes, or like you have desks with a fan, a little fan, to help with women who are experiencing a lot of hot flashes. Women being able to have a hybrid kind of option for working if possible. Also some
companies with fidget balls like anxiety.
Exactly.
That's good.
And that also brings the conversation of insurance as well. Because I said it's not only a workplace issue, but it's also it's not only a healthcare issue, it's also a workplace issue. And a lot of these large corporates and large organizations do have insurance policies for their employees. So you know what? If the conversation continues to happen, then we can lobby insurance companies to actually include also medical options for menopausal women as well. Which I haven't seen of or heard of yet when it comes to insurance companies. But again, the importance of the conversation happening. Because at that point, we're not only talking about individual awareness, but also the need for systemic change. And it starts somewhere.
And you're very right, because they don't cover, like, say, infertility treatment. Like, insurances don't cover that because it's in line sort of with what you're talking about. So a policy change and shift would also just accommodate more women. I'm thinking about now managing these symptoms. What are some of those lifestyle habits that will make a big difference in terms of maybe foods, exercises? What are those habits lifestyle habits that will make a difference?
All right. So I'm a big advocate for lifestyle modifications first, and then we will talk about other medical treatments that can be used, right? So lifestyle modifications, I'd talk about, and it's more or less the same thing that we've heard all our lives, but this is not the time to stop exercising, or I'd say to stop moving. Any form of exercise that you can do is good exercise, even walking, right? So I'd say keep moving, right? I know it might be hard, especially if you've not slept, or you're having you're really maybe extreme tiredness and stuff like that, or you're overwhelmed with life and work. But it's one of those potato or egg chicken situations, right? And then we'll get there when we talk about medical treatments. But I'd say exercise, especially if you can, strength training, because the loss of estrogen leads to decline in your bone density as we get older. You know, your bones get very thin and very brittle when you get older. So that's why you find, like, even a simple fall can lead you to, like, breaking a hip, and you know, once you stop moving, then you find, like, you've seen elderly people, once they break like a hip or something, they just deteriorate after that completely. So I would urge women, not only in your 40s or in your menopausal years, to exercise now. this starts from way before that. Yeah. In your 20s, 30s, and 40s. And that's why this information is key. Keep moving, exercise. Because strength train, try and, lift some like slightly heavier weights and just build up on your strength. I'm not saying like, be like, like a strong woman, but just keep building up, like progressive overload. So strength training and exercise, keep moving. Start where you are with what you have. You don't have to run today and take up a gym membership. Start where you are with what you have. If walking is all you have, do that, right? If exercising at home is all you can manage, get onto YouTube, do that, right? And then diet and nutrition also plays a big role, right? I did not mention in our community we are working with various specialists who are specialists in their fields. So we have a dietitian, nutritionist on board. We have somebody who runs the exercise group of the community. We have a psychologist and a therapist as well who runs the Over Mind and Body. And so where am I? I've lost my train of thought. You see, I'm rambling.
No,
where was I? So I was like, diet and nutrition. Yes. Yeah, very key. So it talks about the dietitian walks the women through what kind of changes to incorporate in their diet, in their day-to-day diet. Lifestyle modifications in terms of reducing amount of alcohol and nicotine that you consume if you consume already. Because you'll notice, one thing I noticed was during in early perimenopause, I used to love my wine. I can no longer drink wine because immediately I would drink wine hot. I would get extremely hot flashes, and it would affect my sleep. So it's just that some of these are very personal decisions that you make as an individual. I'm not telling women that you stop drinking, stop smoking, or whatever. But you see, it's up to you. But I'm just telling you what is recommended. Reduce your alcohol, nicotine, and also. They say stress management, although sometimes that word is just like, okay, what does stress management mean? What does stress management mean? What does it mean?
Stress management. I think it's like the cuddling services that you're talking about earlier on. Like how do you manage stress?
Because if you already have it, take a nap. I don't know.
Walk, all right. Watch a movie. Stay from your phone.
Go to therapy.
I think stress management looks different for different people. I guess so. So they say stress management, and then I'd encourage women community. Community really helps. Social connection. It really. I know it might sound. These might sound like little things, but they are so valuable, especially. For as women, we are really community centered and focused. So, build on that. Don't shun away from community as well. So I'd say exercise, food and diet nutrition, stress management. These are like the pillars. And then your sleep.
Very
My goodness, I can't believe I almost forgot this. Sleep. Sleep is really, really is one of the key things during this phase, right? And if you're struggling with sleep, I'd urge you to get help if you can. You see, and I keep adding if you can because also there's a lot of privilege that comes with this conversation and how to manage symptoms, and we can get to that a bit later.
Okay, so those are lifestyle modifications.
Yes.
Medicinal, would you talk about that?
Okay, so then we go to medical interventions, right? So you have hormonal
replacement therapy?
Yes, it's no longer called HRT, hormonal replacement therapy. They changed the name. It's now known as menopausal hormonal therapy. Menopause hormonal therapy, MHT.
Okay.
I know things are changing so fast. But the language is very important because during this time we're not replacing like the hormones that we had when we were teenagers.
Okay.
it's now, that's not what we're trying to do. So that's why they changed the name, because hormone replacement therapy means you're replacing, right?
The word replacement.
Right. Yes, exactly. So that's what that word. So they've changed the word now. It's MHT, menopause hormonal therapy.
Okay.
So yes, that's one medical intervention that a woman can explore, right? So do you have questions around MHT?
Who is it for? Who should
and how do you replace hormones?
Those are great questions.
Like how? Okay, so there's a lot of controversy around, let's say, HRT, MHT, right? Because a lot of people still identify with HRT. So there's been a lot of controversy around it. What was? Do you know any of the controversy around it? Because they say it's connected to breast cancer.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay, demystify.
Okay. So there was this initiative called the Women's Health Initiative. I'll just mention it briefly.
Okay.
In 2002, they did some research, and then they came out and concluded hormonal therapy causes breast cancer. The thing is, in the 60s and 70s, a woman used to get to their 40s and immediately just get on HRT.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to use HRT for today because that's what a lot of people
resonate with.
Yeah, so that was standard. That was standard operating procedure. So after this Women's Health Initiative study was done in 2002, they came out prematurely and just said hormones cause breast cancer. That did such a huge disservice to women, because women were throwing away their hormones, flushing them down the toilet, from what I've read, etc. And women just stopped taking hormones. The uptake of hormones went down completely. So that, what happens after that? Women just were persevering through their symptoms, right? So since then, that study has been debunked, believe it or not. But for 20 years, women have been just been left to figure out menopause on their own, right? Without any more research really being done in that space, which is really unfortunate. So that study has since been debunked. And now we are now trying to change the narrative around hormonal therapy. So there's that idea and that fear of using hormones, that it causes cancer, that it can cause cancer. Yes, there are some women who do have some contraindications that will not allow them to take hormones, right? But this is, again, a very one-on-one individual conversation that you have with your doctor. But for the most part, hormonal therapy can be so beneficial to women, especially women who have moderate to severe symptoms that can't be managed by lifestyle interventions alone, right? And it really offers a lot of support to women. So what does it look like? Hormonal therapy looks like a combination of estrogen and progesterone. And some women do actually benefit from using testosterone as well.
All right.
But a lot of it, but for the most part, it's estrogen and progesterone. So estrogen is I'll just say it generally because I'm not a doctor. It's given as a gel or a patch that you change weekly. And you see, and that's also the difference. Before they were taking estrogen as pills, like right now it's a patch. Yes, right, it's a patch, which is a safer method of administering as opposed to before. So a lot of improvements have been done in how hormonal therapy is working and administered. So now you take estrogen as a patch, and then you take progesterone. It can be every day. These are pills, or it can be cyclical, like 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. Right. I think that in this conversation best had with a doctor who can go deeper. Instead, I don't want to massacre. But that's what it looks like. And so there is medical interventions which are options that women have, and that's why OVA exists. Like I want women to know that we have options.
We do.
There's no more suffering, no more powering through, no more humiliating, as we spoke earlier. There are options. And I just want to remind all the women that, you're not alone. Yeah. Let's keep the conversation going, conversation flowing, so that you do realize that you're not alone. And that's why we need to be heard, so that we can be seen and also understood. And that also brings me back to the workplace conversation. It's about being seen, being heard, and to be understood. Even if there are no policies per se that are gonna be incorporated overnight in our workplaces, but it's about speaking to people who have the power to just maybe know and maybe even change how things are done in the workplace, just to be more accommodating. So that's I think we've talked about medical interventions and non-medical interventions like lifestyle changes
and work and we're leaving out a very important part, and maybe you can speak to it, and you can speak to it from the perspective of the overcycle and the women that you interact with. So how does menopause affect intimacy and sexual health for women? I think that's very important.
It is important. So when it comes to intimate relations, sex relationships, I find, first of all, that there's a lot of shame. There's we have a doctor in our community. So sometimes there's a woman who wants to ask a question about her intimate sex life and what she can do, but they'll send the message to me so that I can post it in the community. So you see, already this conversation is shrouded in a lot of shame and a lot of fear and stigma. So yes, menopause does play a role in intimate relations, because I mentioned earlier there's you can experience dryness, a lot of dryness, which can lead to painful sex, and also loss of libido, right?
Goes down,
loss of libido. So that affects relationships, especially if you're with a partner who doesn't understand, right? Like what happens? What happens in that situation? So what I would do is urge people in partnered relationships, the partners of again, it's not a conversation for women only, because women, we're not living in a vacuum without other people in society, without men or without our children. And they need the awareness helps your partner be more understanding in that setup, right? Because it's what I think that's what is needed. And support as well. Because what else can you do? It's a phase that every woman who lives long enough will experience. So it will happen. But there was a statistic that I read that said by 2025, or is it 2026, around 1 billion women will be menopausal in the world. And each year, around 40 million women are entering perimenopause globally. So
I mean, that's a huge number.
That's a huge number for this conversation not to happen.
For the society, policy makers, for people around that community, women to actually just make policies that align with that, and for partners to know, okay, so this is what is happening. And I want to know whether the same symptoms are these the same symptoms that I experienced post. I know, like, our time is almost up. Post menopause.
You're kidding. I've been here already one hour. I have so much to say. But, so on the most part, I know we've centered this conversation around symptoms. But I want to just point out that aside from symptoms, menopause is not something to fear. It's not something to fear, and it's a phase that women that we can actually thrive through. It's not just something that we have to just fear and just survive through. But we've talked a lot about symptoms. So from what I've heard and from what I've read, and also from speaking to the women in my family, a lot of women in their postmenopausal years feel like a kind of relief. Because I'm saying again, I have so many disclaimers, not all, but it's from what I've understood is in their postmenopause years, because the hormones are more stable, then there's more relief in postmenopause.
It does make sense.
It does, right? Biologically, it does make sense because you have this chaotic graph before, and then after that, exactly.
Plateaus.
Exactly, it plateaus. But there are still women who still continue to use medical interventions. Those who were using before, they still feel that they still continue to use them even postmenopausal. Because sometimes they find if they stop hormonal therapy, maybe their hot flashes come back, or this and that comes back. So
Certainly.
On hormonal therapy, I forgot one. Okay, yes. There's even when it comes to intimacy, intimate relations. There's actually solutions like vaginal estrogen, which can be prescribed. So there are options. I know we're running out of time, but there are options.
What gives you hope for the future? And what gives you hope about the future of menopause awareness?
First of all,
in like a minute or 30 seconds.
Okay, first of all, being invited here to speak about menopause is such a beacon of hope for me. I never imagined that I'll be on radio talking about menopause. And I know people are listening in Eldoret, in Kisumu, in Nairobi, stuff like Mombasa. I'm like, yes. Because it's amplifying the voice behind what OVA does. So that gives me hope. Another thing that gives me hope is just seeing the conversation happening everywhere globally, that women are now proudly or trying to do away with the shame and the stigma around aging, because menopause is associated with aging. And so this gives me a lot of hope that we are just reclaiming our voice. And in reclaiming our voice, we're not only empowering ourselves, but guess what, we're empowering other women, the younger women, so they will not come into midlife totally blindsided.
Absolutely.
The information will be there, the stories will be there, and I want us to focus as well on telling the African experience and the African stories around menopause, right? Because it's one thing to copy paste from the West, but then when we have our own stories and our own communities where this conversation happens, that definitely gives me hope, because it's going to be so beautiful, not only for us and empowering for us, but for the younger girls and the younger generation.
When there's enough research around it.
Yes, research, data.
Thank you so much
for that masterclass. And also for the work you do at the Overcycle. We appreciate you and the advocacy for menopause.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't believe 1 hour is over.
Imagine.
We still haven't talked about so many things.
I think we're going to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, then.
Absolutely.
Great.